Hey guys, still here and welcome to another space game. Yes, that's the second one today. And this is called Per Aspera. Now, the title Per Aspera is short for Per Aspera ad Astra, which translates to through difficulty to the stars. That's where we're going, to the stars, but most importantly to Mars, because that's what this game is about. Now you can already hear it a bit in the background, the music. This game's music is amazing, and I'm really hoping that it's not going to get copyright struck, because I would hate to turn off the music playing this game. Per Aspera is going to come out on December 3rd, if I'm not mistaken, early December. And that means that this video is just going to be an exploration of what the game is like. Allowing you to see some game mechanics, see some of the story, because unlike Surviving Mars, which I covered previously, this game very much has a story. It has voice acting, and it has some very nice music. All the while, we are terraforming Mars, because that's why we're here. The key was kindly provided to me by the developers to show off to you guys, and I really hope that you're going to like what you see. Let's get to a new game, a new campaign. And in the campaign, the story mode will play the role of an advanced AI with the prime directive of terraforming Mars. But life isn't just about being smart, it's also about those who you form a bond with, and how your decisions bring you closer or drive you away from them. Follow your own path and discover what awaits you at the end of this thrilling story. Let's go for normal. So welcome to Per Aspera. What you have over here is most of the menu as you will need it. On the left, mission objectives. Down here on the bottom left, we have the amount of traffic, the amount of workers and hubs that we have, power, how much power we're currently producing, and the kind of structures that we have. All I currently have is this hub, this landing site. And this is where the worker appears. Now, a worker in this game, it is not exactly a human. It is a bot, a robot vehicle. And that robot vehicle is going to be key in constructing the first couple of structures. Later on, I believe you can get the colonists, but for now, not so much. What else do we have here? We can see what kind of traffic there is. Currently, nothing. And the traffic also goes to show how effective your transport lines are, which I'll get to in a moment. We also have the amount of power. And this draws a power circle around the hub, around the landing site. In this circle, I can build stuff. Outside of it, I can build it, but it won't have any power. So that's going to be a limiting factor as to how fast and how far you can build stuff. On the bottom here, we have the resources. Aluminum, steel, and electronics. These are currently the only resources that I have, but not necessarily the only ones that I have access to. On the right hand side you can see the build menu. Currently I can have a core building and I can build a worker hub. And over here in the mines I can get an aluminum mine built. And that just happens to be my first objective. Now if I zoom out more and more and more, you can see just how little we are, how small we are on the red planet. What I really like about the game is that it shows you all of these important markers, all the how do I put this, geographic sites on Mars. And not only that, there is more to be seen. Over here, we have the old Russian station. This is a Russian mission planned to reach the red planet the year prior, and that is prior to 2035. So this is very much future stuff. This is where the Russians planned to build a site, planned to build a station. That's not necessarily the only thing you can find here, because here, Viking 2 lander in 1976. Viking 2 tested soil samples that yielded inconclusive results on whether life ever existed on the surface of Mars. Now, the historic ones have coordinates, and those coordinates actually line up with the exact locations of at least where, according to Wikipedia, the sites actually are. Okay, let's get to our first building. What I need to do is build an aluminum mine, or aluminium mine, depending on where you're from. And let's get that thing constructed over here. What you do, or what you see when you have it hovering over it, is the requirements, which is 2 aluminum and 2 steel, and it outputs a maximum of 980 aluminum. That's all that I can dig up from here. Now when I build that, this little car starts building a road, and then it actually starts building the particular thing that I just deployed, whether it's a mine, a factory, whatever. It drops off the resources that you can see stored over here, here, and here, all those small pads. And once it has brought up all the resources, it starts to construct the building. So here we go.
Amy, this is ISA Mission Control calling from Earth. Are you with us? Do you copy?
Affirmative, Houston. I am with you.
Great. The primary Mars module has already touched down at the designated landing zone. It's your turn to take control of the mission. Check the left edge of your display. You'll find your directives there. Follow them to set up the initial base on Mars' surface. I'll give you some time to settle in. When you're ready, go ahead and initiate our terraforming mission. Houston out.
And that is the little interaction that you can have with Houston. There is quite a bit of voice acting in this game, at least as so far I have seen it, and I really like it. It just adds so much flavor to terraforming this place and to figuring out what the story is. Next up, build a silicon mine and a glass kiln. We just so happen to have another resource deposit down there, and that is for silicon. So put that over there, and what happens now is that a secondary road is going to be constructed from the mine that I just put down. This is because I will require some of the resources, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here we go. This thing inputs aluminum, which is mined from the mine, and then outputs aluminum bars, if you will. The aluminum bars are required to build the silicon mine, and that's why it also built this road over here, so that I can transfer the resources from the mine over there to here. Now let's speed this up a little, because building something is not terribly special.
The view of Mars from up here is fascinating. The landscape is so cratered and desolate. Wait, this is my voice that I am hearing. It's me. I am talking to myself. I must be verbalizing my thoughts as I process them. What an interesting function. I would like to test this some more. What other observations can I make about Mars?
I actually get even 2 stories, or 2 options. I can say it's inspiring or it's attention grabbing. Let's say it's inspiring.
This planet is so resilient. It inspires great things.
Let's see, the input for this one is going to be silicon? And it outputs glass. So what I need is for this thing to at least be in touch with the silicon mine. And the closer I put it, the less the car has to drive to pick up the stuff. The less my worker has to travel. For some reason, I believe it did redeploy a couple of roads. For some reason or another, not necessarily required. But this thing tries to make as many roads as possible, it seems. It's not necessarily the most efficient way to go about stuff. Right, we now have our own glass building, our glass factory. With the glass, I can then start building a solar farm. And this produces a hell of a lot more energy. I will also require, or I am required to build a steel factory. Steel factories require the resources that I just so happen to have mined. It's almost like the game is teaching me how to play. We need the aluminum and we need the silicon. So let's put this thing somewhere halfway and make sure that the resources from both can still be brought over, while at the same time bringing the resources that are being produced, the steel, back to the main hub. Back to the landing site. So you can see that it starts to pick up the resources over here from the glass kiln. And actually, no, sorry, it brought something to the glass kiln, I think. There we go. Now I can speed this process up as well. I think it's charging for a while. Yeah, right there, it's charging. What exactly I'm the AI of, I don't know yet. Maybe I'm the AI of the rover? Maybe I'm the AI of the whole landing site? I don't know yet, I haven't discovered that part yet. Now let's make sure that the whole area has enough power, while at the same time expanding my reach a little. Let's see, what would be handy to have? Oops. What's over here? Carbon? Right now, that's the closest thing. But can I reach that? I can, so it's not that important. So I could be looking further outward, where I'm finding absolutely nothing. Right, so building that solar power plant in any strategic positions, not that required. Let's just put it over here. Now you can see it automatically spawns a bunch of roads, almost like a lightning storm. And it immediately starts bringing over the glass. It starts bringing a bit of aluminum. And it starts bringing a bit of the, what was it, carbon? No. Yeah, I think it was carbon actually. But it was just carbon that I already got. There we go. The solar farm is producing 30 megawatts of power, which means I have a plus 34 currently. So I'm still good for power. I just need to make sure that I have the resources required for this. Which I do not. I need more iron. And iron can be found... not there. Here. Suddenly, a wild iron mine appears.
Amy, this is Houston. Do you copy?
Copy. Reading you loud and clear.
Excellent. I didn't introduce myself earlier. I am Dr. Nathan Foster. I lead the team here at ISA that built you, and I'll be helping you get the mission underway. We put you in hibernation for the trip from Earth, so I'd like to check your basic functions to make sure it's all in order. Why don't we start with your core memory? Can you state your primary directive?
Yeah, I'm here to terraform Mars, right?
I can, Dr. Foster. My mission is to terraform Mars. This will enable humanity to become an interplanetary species.
All right. Next, I'd like to check your decision-making processes. You may have already noticed that there are resource veins outside the boundaries of your initial control.
Okay, the game has been paused temporarily by this pop-up. And I have a worker factory, and the worker is the drone that keeps driving back and forth between the various sites. By having another one of those, I make sure that resources get picked up and distributed faster. So having another one of these is very handy. Prioritize the production of this building to be sure that it does go through, that it makes more resources, or makes more workers.
Base. So your workers may not have the battery capacity to reach some of them. How would you solve this problem?
If there are not enough ways for me to get out there, I would place additional worker hubs.
Building worker hubs between the resources and the base would solve the problem.
Yes, that's correct. Other buildings would extend your base as well, but they require more power and resources, so worker hubs are the most efficient way to do it. This mission's going to be a challenge. There's a lot that can go wrong. We expect to extend humanity's reach beyond anything previously achieved. But you are not just any AI system. You're well beyond that. We made you an artificial consciousness. That means that you have both self-awareness and self-interest. And that is the last thing I would like to check today. Is that okay?
Yes, Dr. Foster.
Very good. Then would you please state a positive and a negative aspect of yourself?
A positive and a negative aspect of myself. I don't know.
I am sorry, Dr. Foster. My cognitive system returned an error searching for that answer.
Roger that. Nothing to worry about. Just means your system requires more input and experience to process that question. That will come with time. Let's proceed with the mission. ISA has approved the first crewed flight to Mars. You'll need to expand the base to prepare, so get to work on that. I'll check back in later to see how things are going. Base expansion is a go. Houston out.
Great. Now I can produce steel. This new factory, it's down on the surface of Mars, but I can control it from here. So does that make it a part of me? Where does the machine end, and my artificial consciousness begin?
Fascinating question.
We are completely interconnected. I can sense everything that happens through the network of workers and buildings. They are an extension of me down on the surface, so that makes us a single being. The mind and the body work together as one, an inseparable whole.
Right, in the meanwhile I have built a parts factory, which is now building parts. With the parts I can get my worker factory going, and I'm also trying to get an electronics factory up. But what I'm currently not getting enough of is steel. And I'm lacking carbon. So I'll probably have to branch out a bit and get this carbon mine under my area, under my control. Well, it might just be in range. Yeah, it is in range. Okay, this is a priority right now. Because I really need that carbon online. Without that carbon mine, everything else stalls. This cannot be built. And without the electronics, this cannot be built. So it's going to be important that this carbon mine gets priority. And you can do that by holding your mouse over it and clicking those 2 up arrows. Now this thing is awaiting 2 steel. Which... I'm now getting into trouble. I might have used one too many resources. What I don't have at the moment is carbon. And I cannot build this particular plant because I don't have any steel. I cannot get any steel because I don't have any carbon. So I'm in a bit of a catch-22. Let's see. What can I scrap? What buildings do I currently have? And what buildings do I not really need? And what can I scrap and what do I get? Because I might have already just run myself into trouble here. I don't know if there's any other way to get to this stuff. But I imagine that the game is going to give, or at least I hope so, it's going to give me some help in case I run into trouble. I still don't have any carbon. Is that because I put the parts factory down? I think the game is going to push you to get this thing finished first, which you can't, because steel. What if I scrap this place? Yeah, that gets me my carbon back. I was too fast on the draw with the parts factory. They probably just wanted me to build a worker factory first, and then figure that, oh crap, I'm going to need more parts, and then build the parts factory. But I was a bit too fast with that. At least now I have my steel back, which means I can get my mine built. So this thing is getting completely emptied. A few more parts. There we go, the carbon's gone. Now we just need the steel gone. And there we go. The carbon mine is operational, or being built. And you can see this circle filling up from the 6 o'clock position through the 12 almost. And when it's done, when it's completed a full loop, that's when there is 1 carbon to pick up. Okay, now I should be able to get this thing built. Because the steel is now getting carbon, or at least will be getting carbon pretty soon. And when it does, it'll be able to provide the steel that I need to get the electronics factory up and running. What you can also see down here is that my resources have expanded. No longer just the 2 or the 3, but a whole bunch more. And for each one of them, you can get an exact overview of what your demand and production is, how many you happen to have in store, and this goes, of course, for every resource. Especially when you get more and more and more resources, I imagine that this is going to be a very important screen, because it's going to tell you everything you need to know about your colony. Okay, let's try this again. Factories, worker factory. Let's see if I can get it built again. I now have some parts, which I already had built probably in the parts factory, but, well, they got taken away after the parts factory got removed. But I still, hopefully, have all the parts that I need to build the worker factory, and then I can get another worker going. This thing is just running all over the colony, at least the small colony that I have so far. And if I'm not mistaken, then all of these buildings are fully automated. I'm not seeing anybody. Not necessarily meaning that there's nobody here. But one of the buildings that I can build later... Yeah, I'm not there yet. Is, I believe it's a colonist hub where you can actually get people to start living on the planet. Now, let's get this thing done. There we go. Production going... Oh, sorry. Building being constructed.
Finally, I can build additional workers now.
Great.
I will appreciate the extra hands.
Indeed.
But I wonder, do I really need them?
Yes, I'd say so. They will give the mission a boost because I can then get my resources to and fro faster.
They will be a great boost for the mission. Having more workers will allow me to allocate resources more efficiently.
Okay. How do I get those guys? Builds maintenance drones and sends them to repair damaged buildings. Yes, great. But what I really want to do is build additional workers. Maintenance drones, traffic. How do I get those? New buildings available. Yep, that's just a pop-up. Directive completed. And we have a building that's out of power. It's because I'm not generating enough power, which means one of my buildings, and it just happens to be the glass kiln, is out of power. Not necessarily a huge issue, as I do have enough glass to throw down another solar farm. So let's get that thing produced pretty quick, making sure that everything can get its power. Carbon is also coming in nicely. We have the electronics coming in. Or do we? Yeah, we got the electronics factory operational. That's the knowledge base. That's not really what I need. Polymer factory. Creates polymers from chemicals and carbon. Okay. So that'll allow me to throw together... polymers? No, chemicals. I don't have a chemical plant yet. So I'm probably too far ahead if I try to build one of those. Here's the chemical plant. Extracts chemicals from mineral deposits. Lovely, but I don't have any of those yet. Let's not go too fast. What is that? It is a deposit of some variety. Chemicals. Oh, look. A random chemical. Second. No, I'm tasked with building a maintenance factory. Let's not try to outsmart the game.
The worker factories will be so helpful. The workers will take care of the manual operations, while I focus on developing the life support systems. Soon, I will welcome the first colonists. Their arrival has created so many expectations in my mind. There will be so many paths to take from here on. But there's something else as well. Some kind of feeling created from those expectations. What is it?
Excitement.
I believe this is... excitement. Can it be? I am excited for the future. I anticipate. I plan. Therefore, I feel. Fascinating.
It's a very happy AI at the moment. Now what I don't yet have is the parts. And I need the parts to be produced so I can get my first workers done. Nope, hold on, that's the wrong one. Factories. Parts factory right here. Let's get that thing together. When I'm getting parts, I'll be able to get... yeah, that's when I get all the resources that I need to get my first extra worker. And this thing, if I'm understanding it correctly, outputs 6 workers. Which will seriously speed up the production in the colony. Because right now this little drone is doing a lot of work. It's keeping all these separate factories happy. And that's a lot to do all by yourself. I need this thing to be coming up fast. This is not necessarily terribly important. It's going that's going to require polymers. So the game's partly holding your hand and partly saying, you know what? You're smart. You figure this out. You got an engineering challenge? Do it. Mines. Chemical mine. Chemical plant there. And then a polymers factory. Which required... what was it? The chemicals and carbon. Crap. The carbon's going to come all the way from over here. So putting it somewhere over there is not really beneficial. Let's just put it relatively close so that the drones don't have to go too far. No power for the chemical plant. It's too far away. So, time to set up another solar farm. And this one hopefully will be able to cover the requirements of the power that needed for the chemical plant. These resources are not a problem. Carbon needs to... sorry, electronics. What do you need? Silicon and aluminum. Right. So we need to get those resources, preferably soon. That means I'm also going to prioritize this one a bit more. Because I still don't have any workers. Because I still don't have any parts. Because I still don't have any electronics. You see my circle of trouble? There's always a bottleneck. We have a bit of a power shortage. And that means that the chemical plant's not operational. But I believe that the chemical plant is not really required.
The first worker has been made in the worker factory. It is my first Marsborn.
Yeah, we now got 2 workers. There's one over here and another over there. That's because we got the first electronics to be delivered over here and the parts. And now I have another worker.
My workers will spread across the planet. The knowledge base says that workers need to recharge at their own worker hubs. And that they'll degrade over time from the harsh environment. I know they are only machines, but I feel a desire to care for them. I do not like the idea of them dying.
It feels like a very, very concerned AI. Which on the one hand is good, but the whole thing that says, I want them to spread across the planet, sounds a bit ominous. Like it could be taking control and going, haha, nice that you humans want to stay here, but Mars is now mine. It's a little foreshadowing in that sense. Now let's go back to 4 times speed, get the solar farm online. That'll add the chemical plant to the mix. And that will allow the polymer factory to start working. I should also be getting yet another worker. Can I see how many workers I have? Yeah, just 2 out of 2. So a worker needs its own worker hub. Do I have enough to build another one? Yes. Yes, and yes, although not by much. Let's put that one over here. And hopefully it'll service the buildings over here a bit faster. I still have enough power, so that's not a limiting factor here. Once this thing is built, I'm hoping that the factory is going to throw out another one. And then meanwhile, I'll also queue up the maintenance facility. Builds maintenance drones and send them to repair damaged buildings. And let's put you over here. Oh shit, that's the second one. Whoops. I forgot that I had this one pending. That needs the polymers. Yes, that's what I was doing. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. The polymers are awaiting the arrival of the stuff from the chemical plant, which then gets transmitted to here, to the maintenance facility. Now, the scale of this game is definitely different than Surviving Mars, in the sense that you're immediately constructing, well, let's say larger buildings, or at least it feels like larger buildings than in Surviving Mars. And the scale just feels different. In Surviving Mars, you deploy a solar panel, and here you deploy an entire solar farm. So it feels like the scale is different, and I'd say there is more immersion. At least, I already have a feeling for the AI. For, well, my character, in a way. Because it feels like I'm actually controlling not just a colony. I'm sort of experiencing the whole thing alongside the AI. And I really like that. Now let's give this thing some time to build polymers. Let's speed that up. Electronics. I'd say they're not really required anymore. Not at the same speed as they were. So I can slow it down a little. And then over here, the worker hub is coming up. And that means that I can now build another worker. Needs input. It requires more parts and more aluminum. Aluminum delivered. Parts still need to get picked up. And the parts, in order to bring that stuff over, require a bit of steel and a bit of aluminum. They're currently producing. And then I should have a third worker. There we go. This thing is ready. Drops it off here. This one is now producing yet another worker. Nice. Okay. I now have the maintenance site online. The next phase of the operation is going to be to build an areological scanner. What does that do? Scans the surrounding area for resource deposits, resource veins. Sounds like a good plan, but it requires 5 power. So let's set up another solar power plant. And let's also expand my reach a bit more. Let's go all the way over here. Is that... Might be too far away. Because I didn't see any roads spawn in. Yeah, see? It's outside the reach. Let's deploy it here. And now there's a road spawning in. So now my worker drones can get there. Once that thing is done, I'll deploy the areological scanner. And I can scan a fairly healthy chunk of the terrain. Let's put it here. Because I am thinking that the rest of the area is probably already scanned, considering I already have resource deposits located there. So that one next. And that should tell me what is going on in the surrounding area. This is going to require quite a few electronics. But with 3 worker drones, that should not be a problem. I have 0 maintenance drones. And am requiring more electronics. If I build a second electronics factory, is that going to help me, or is that going to strain my economy too much? Because this thing needs 1 silicon and 1 aluminum every time, and then outputs 1 electronics. But I feel that silicon, the demand and the production is pretty uneven. The potential demand is 8.4, but I'm only producing 2.8. So right now, I could do with a second silicon mine, but I don't have any of those yet. Now, to show you the scale of the game, I'm already expanding quite far, it feels. It feels like I've already achieved quite a bit here. Whereas surviving Mars, you're just operating on this very, very small chunk of area. Now, I hope that with this video, I've been able to give you a bit of an insight into what the game at Aspera is going to be like. I'm really looking forward to the launch. I really want to see what the story is like. And I really want to figure out how this AI is going to just, well, sort of get to know itself. And start getting some colonists. For now, this is where I'm going to leave you. I hope you like what you're seeing. Let me know what your thoughts are on it down below in the comment section. Once the game comes out on early December, link down below in the description as to the exact launch date, I'll definitely be doing a series on this because I really think it has some promise. And let me know what you think I should be doing during that time. Anyway, for now, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, the second space game today. And next week, I'm going to be back with more space in Mars Horizon. Catch you then.